Kayleen and I are straight passing. And what that means is, unless we are actively embracing each other or possibly even in coitus, people do not automatically assume that we're married to one another. This usually happens when we're traveling, but my favorite instance of this was when I was in the Army. My commander was new to the unit, and he was trying to ascertain who among us was going to represent the team in the garden resort of Baghdad, Iraq. And so I went to his office and I said, sir, my wife and I just went through an IVF cycle, and there's a possibility I could be pregnant. And as his eyes widened, I realized it was the first time that this man had heard those words strung together in a sentence. And he said, oh, well, you have to rest. and I said, yeah, maybe, possibly. And then he clasped his hands together, bowed down, and said, namaste. And I didn't know what to do, so I clasped my hands together, and I bowed down, and I namaste'd him back before I walked out of the office. So this usually happens when we're traveling. Last summer, we were going through security in Atlanta. And just for context, my wife is a white, blonde, Southern California-born woman. I am this. Ooh, thank you. We have twin daughters. One's white, one's brown. We like to switch them up when we're carrying them to give people a fighting chance. And so we were going through security with our kids. And at the first checkpoint, the woman was like, oh, are y'all sisters? No. Checkpoint number 2. Oh my God, are y'all best friends? I mean, she's my favorite person to do things with, so I guess. And then, as we're loading up the 2 of everything onto the x-ray machine, oh my stars and stripes, are y'all a club? Negative. For me, this has meant coming out to my mom over and over and over again. I first decided to come out to my parents when they were stationed in Saudi Arabia. And so I flew to Riyadh, and over whiskey and cigars on the rooftop of their villa with my dad, I told him that I was bisexual. Choosing my very limited knowledge of the term at the time to give them hope that I could flip right on back to being with men. And also because the word lesbian felt like something you had to whisper, like penis, like very quietly. So my dad said, you have to do what makes you happy, kid. Cross the Rubicon and make history. Because whiskey makes us all poets. But he also asked that I not tell my fiery, passionate Egyptian mother until I was absolutely sure. And a few years later, I was dating Megan, names changed to protect the innocent, and it was time to tell my mom, and I planned it meticulously. I decided to do it the day before I was leaving for a 30-day training event where I was going to be off the grid. No cell phone, no Wi-Fi, no USPS. When it comes to fight or flight, I flight. And I also wanted to do it somewhere public where she couldn't make a scene. Better yet, if it was somewhere she was known, so I chose the food court where she worked, which at the time happened to be the Pentagon. So over our prepackaged salads, I told Mom that Megan, who she had met before, was more than a friend. What does this mean? Well, I'm bisexual. What does this mean, bisexual? I was like, well, it's me. She's more than a friend. I'm not attracted to a gender. I'm attracted to a person. It's not natural. I was like, but when 2 women love each other, Ma, and I started doing things with my hands that I'm fairly certain advertised to America's heroes what we were talking about. You can never have babies. I was like, Ma, a lot of people with the help of science have healthy children. It's not scientific. She told me it was disgusting and that she never wanted to speak to me again. And as we walked towards the exit of the Pentagon, there was no big final last words. That was just it. We sort of turned away from each other. And I went on my no-contact training event. And it was the most intense training I've ever been in, so I didn't really think about it. But when I got back, I was taking my sister, my brother, and Megan to a Ferris Cutum concert. Now, if you are not up to date with your Middle Eastern pop stars, Ferris Cutum is a handsome crooner on par with Harry Connick Jr. He's very good looking, he's got some toe-tapping hits, and a devout following amongst Middle Eastern women of a certain age. My sister called. Ma really wants to see Ferris Cutum. I said, all right, I'll get her a ticket. She can come, but she's coming with Megan as my girlfriend. And my mom showed up. She wasn't warm, but she was there without any pretense as to who Megan was to me. A short while later, Megan and I broke up, and it was gut-wrenching. Megan was my first girlfriend as the circle of people who knew about my sexuality was expanding, and she was so patient and kind. I was heartbroken, but my mom wanted me to make good on my bisexual promise. Can you date men now? I didn't. I dated Brenda, who was brilliant and hot, and I was madly in love with her. But I was Brenda's first girlfriend, and about 4 months in, she let me know that she missed being with guys, which is not something I could help with. And she broke my heart. How about now? Even when I started dating Kayleen, even when Kayleen and I got engaged, and even after Kayleen and I got married, are you sure this is not but a phase? In July of 2016, I found out I was pregnant. And not just pregnant, you guys, science awesome pregnant. One of my embryos, one of my wife's embryos, and I carried both of them. My mom was over the moon, and when the girls came in February of 2017, I found that when you talk about being gay, for people who don't understand, their mind immediately goes to gay sex. How does it work? But when you talk about being a gay parent to babies, you're just talking about babies. My mom embraced being a grandma with fervor, complete with world's best grandma sweatshirts, a mug that reads, "The best moms get promoted to grandma." And although my mom won't say the things that I've scripted for her to say about how much she loves this life I've built out in the suburbs with my wife and our 2 IVF twins and our 3 dogs and our 4 cats, lesbians! She does say, I may not like it, but I respect it and I accept it. And life is long, and these things take time. And it's a long way from where we were 6 years ago at the Pentagon. Thank you.